Now, let's have a little more fun and talk about some ways that you can actually kind of be creative now that we've laid a little foundation here. So you can be creative just with the cash side of the deal. We're not talking about terms, just with the cash side of the deal through the price of the property. Of course, you could go more, you could go less. You could do exactly what they wanted. As I mentioned earlier, I hate winning deals on price, which has largely created my biggest allergy. Um, we can talk about the amount of earnest money. More is almost always better if you're trying to win the deal. As a buyer, the risk reward matrix is the more earnest money you put in play, the more risk you have if something goes wrong in the deal. But if you want to try to win the deal without paying more on the property, you can increase the amount of earnest money that you include with your offer to show more confidence to the seller and to give them more peace of mind. If something does go wrong, they get a bigger amount of money from you to help them go back on and resell the house, which is likely going to be hard. You can be creative with the amount of down payment. Some sellers look really hard at the amount of down payment that people are putting down. An example of that, I had some clients that were willing to pay over $100,000 more on a property in March of this year than the offer that won the property. They were going to put 25% down. The seller went with a different offer that was putting over 80% cash down because the seller valued security so highly that they knew with 80% cash down, there was not going to be any potential issues with the financing. My buyers were still doing about 25% down because they were going to do it as an investment property, but the 80% trumped that. So you can be creative with the amount of cash that you put down, including if you're so situated, you can go 100% cash, buy the whole thing with cash, and then refinance later to get some of your cash back out. Just talked about that deal. And then the lost opportunities cost of cash and how much you're putting into the deal. I do like high levels of responsible leverage, right? I think leverage and debt can be a really powerful tool, but it can also be a dangerous one. It can be a sword that cuts both ways, and taking on big obligations, getting over leveraged can create a lot of problems. I've learned some hard lessons about that myself personally, so I'm always very cautious around it. But I do think that debt is a really great tool to use if you're using it mindfully and you're respecting it appropriately. I really like to keep cash on hand for other deals. Throwing a ton of cash into a deal limits my opportunity to go find another deal. So I generally go to the lowest cash that I can get in a deal and make it perform the way that I want to, whether it's a primary home that I'm looking at buying for me and for my sons to be in. Well, how much cash down do I have to put to get the mortgage payment where I want it to be? And there's some fun scenarios that you can do comparing that, but I pay attention to that. And if I put all of that cash in the deal, what is that going to cost me on being able to go pursue other deals? I sleep better when I have cash available, having gone through periods in this business where I've had not much, if any, cash available. So I keep a lot of cash available and am not as aggressive as I could be because I know cash is the thing that can allow me to solve a lot of problems that show up in life around real estate or other things. So I value the peace of mind. I value that security that comes with it. So I like to keep cash on hand. You may not value that as much, which is fine, but you do want to be aware of it and be mindful of it when you are looking at these offers. I talked about the cash recapture with the refinancing, buying it cash and then doing a cash out refinance on the property not soon thereafter and getting your money back. That's another way that you can be a little creative with cash. That's kind of what people are doing with the Burr style of buying houses, but they're just refinancing. They're putting debt on and then refinancing. You can do a similar thing, just all cash, but it's that second refinance to recapture your cash where it's similar to the Burr model. These are just a few of the things that we can look at when how we use cash creatively. When we're working for our clients, we're always trying to gain, insight and understanding from the listing agents and the history of the property to see where should we be creative, how should we structure our offers, and cash is one of the big levers that we like to work with.